I welcome my panelists. I think all people who are here, they have extensive knowledge about the myeloma. So I welcome Dr. Joseph John from CMC Ludhiana, Dr. Harshit Khurana from Army, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Anup Devishya. What our subject is to daratumab-based therapies in transplant-eligible newly diagnosed multiple myeloma. Next slide, please. So what we have it is a two trials which have been published. One is a Griffin trial, which is comparing. This is a phase 2 trial. It's not a phase 3 trial. Comparing DARA VRD versus VRD. This is more relevant to us, so that's why I have kept this one as the first, because common practice is to use a VRD. So whether we can combine DARA with VRD, do we need to change the practice? Next slide, please. And next is a phase 3 trial, and we have a little long-term data with this phase 3 trial comparing DARA VTD versus VTD. One important thing of these two trials is there's a post-transplant. There are 2 cycles of consolidation have been given. In the previous lecture was said there is no role of consolidation, but if you see these well-organized trials, you know there's a 2 cycle in the both these things. There's a 2 cycles of consolidation. In fact, the primary endpoint is achieving a stringent CR post consolidation. Is not post induction, not post transplant. It is in fact a post consolidation. In both the trials, the primary endpoint is this, and then there's a secondary endpoint with the MRD negativity. There's some variation between the secondary endpoints. Next slide, please. I'll just take you through. I'm trying to take it the earliest possible to throw the data, and then we can discuss it. So the aim is not to present it. The aim is to discuss it, just to show the data. So next slide, please. So we can utilize it for the discussion. This was efficacy and safety of Griffin following the 12 months of maintenance. The previous publication was after 13.5 months of this thing. That was till the consolidation. Now we have a recent ASH. There was a post 12 months of maintenance, and there's a follow-up of 27.5 months. Next slide, please. This is demographics. Looks okay. Next slide, please. This is why the people have left the trial. If you see there's a slight variation. The adverse events were in fact more in the RVD. So what I'm trying to say is that is not the adverse event. So DARA does not add to the adverse events for discontinuation. So if you add a fourth drug, is relatively safer. There's no variation. The reason for discontinuation varies. Next slide, please. What important was there, the majority of the people had undergone a transplant. Most of the patients had gone for the maintenance. So there was 80-90% of the people had undergone a transplant, which is different from our country, where very few people who are eligible for transplant undergoes this thing. So the primary endpoint was a stringent CR post consolidation. So this was a 51, the 42.2 versus 32. So this was a significant difference at the 13.5 months. When it was followed up with the maintenance, it was 27.5 months, 27.4 months. The stringent CR was 63.6 versus 47.4. There was a significant difference in the CR and stringent CR. So the response rates and depths were greater for RVD at all time. Next slide, please. This is a depth of the response. So the MRD with CR, MRD at the different time points, and they all have been, if you see a MRD negativity was significantly different versus RVD. What I mean, one is a stringent CR, whether you follow the stringent CR or not. The most important is the MRD, which was significantly better in DARA VRD. Whether this translate into the increased progression-free survival or overall survival, we have a data to suggest that translate into the better survival, but we need to see with these trials. Next slide, please. This shows you the durability of the, so with the Griffin trial, when our post-maintenance, your 6 months and 12 months sustained MRD, I think that shows the ongoing deeper responses were significantly higher in DARA VRD versus a VRD. Next slide, please. This is just to show you, if you can concentrate on if you go for stringent CR, there's not significant for the stage 3 and high risk myeloma. If you go for the stringent and high risk myeloma, probably they both were similar, but if you see a MRD consistently significantly better, even in the stage 3 and high risk, but the stringent CR was not different for, so DARA did not make a difference with the stringent CR, but definitely made a difference with the MRD. Next slide. And the progression-free survival, there's not much difference, probably too early to assist for the overall survival and different for the progression-free survival. So if you follow these parameters, then still we need to wait for this. Next slide, please. The common side effects, if you see the common side effects, there was some difference in the neutropenias and all, but higher rates of neutropenia and upper respiratory infections, but that did not lead to the increased rate of discontinuation. So people still continued on the same medication. Next slide, please. These are the next slide, please. So the conclusion was DARA-VTD is the potential new standard of care. So this is a phase 3 trial. This is a phase 2 trial. Increased stringent CR and MRD negativity. There's still we had to see the progression-free survival and overall survival. Next slide, please. Then we move on to the DARA-VTD versus VTD. Next slide, please. The significant numbers, what I can show you, there's a significant 500 people numbers. And here also the primary endpoint post-consolidation stringent CR was different, 29% versus 20. And this was statistically significant. Next slide, please. Similarly, when you go on with the post-consolidation, the responses deepens over time. Probably both the trials are showing that you can have a deeper responses with the subsequent therapies. Next slide, please. And if you see a MRD, so the significant difference in the MRD. So post-consolidation MRD negativity was significantly higher for DARA-VTD. Next slide, please. Similarly, if you see the MRD negativity, there's a significant, even for the stage 3 and higher risk, there was though there was no difference in the stringent CR, but the significant difference with the DARA in MRD. Next slide, please. And this definitely have shown a difference in the progression-free survival DARA-VTD versus VTD. The p-value is 0.001, so the HR is 0.47. There is a significant difference in the progression-free survival. Next slide, please. And there's some survival data with the overall survival. There's still the data needs to mature. Next slide, please. And if you see infections and the people can mobilize it. So even if you're using a fourth drug, there is a significant mobilization and significant reconstitution after the transplant. So transplant is not a problem with adding of daratumumab. Next slide, please. And this is a conclusion. There's a 53% reduction in the risk of progression or death. Next slide, please. And this is for the higher, this is a subgroup analysis. So the stage 3 and high risk, if you see a progression-free survival, the HR is 0.6 or 0.67. So there is some reduction in the progression of death in high risk groups. Next slide, please. This is for the CR rates and overall response rates were also different for with the DARA. Next slide, please. Even a higher risk groups. And this is a post-consolidation MRD in the higher risk groups. Next slide, please. So the author has concluded this is a clinical benefit. This also was presented in this recent ASH. There's a stringent CR was not observed for the DARA-VTD over the VTD was for the patients with the high-risk cytogenetics or ISS stage 3. But importantly, it resulted in the terms of MRD negativity and progression-free survival. So in a high-risk, progression-free survival and MRD negativity definitely better. Next slide, please. So this is the data we have it so far. Is it enough? So we'll go on to the discussion. We have, I think, few minutes left, probably 15 minutes. Are you convinced with the efficacy or you need more data? I'll start with Joseph. So I have shown you both the data and what's your take on?
Data is convincing with the HRs and the p-values there. I have only one caution there that most of the responses with regarding to OS has been 3% absolute risk, absolute difference. With the PFS, it was around 8%. With regarding to stringent CR, it is about 15%, 10 to 15%. So if you take these as our reliable endpoints, are we okay with spending that extra money upfront? Is the question I would ask. efficacy-wise, I think there is reasonable data, and I will not contradict Griffin or Cassiopeia or any of the trials which have come in, and they are good, robust studies, no doubt about it. And of course, more results will come by. And of course, I mean, that's my answer, short answer to your question.
Do we need a more data? Do you want to wait before you change your practice to have a more data, or has it changed your practice? So tomorrow, if someone comes to you, say regular myeloma or anyone, what will be your practice?
Yeah, so it all depends upon value addition for the cost you pay.
We are not talking about the cost at the moment. I'll be coming to the cost there.
So yeah, if you can
that's
afford,
a separate.
If you can afford for a high risk patient, definitely I will offer that.
So you will be offering for high risk and standard risk.
Yes.
You still will continue with the DARA VTD.
So I will have a discussion. I will have a discussion with them about the pros and cons at the standard risk, but I would lean towards a high risk patient.
So you will recommend definitely for high risk, and you will discuss with the patient for the standard risk.
If money is all not a problem.
We will be coming to that. Yeah. Okay, Harshit.
Yes, sir.
Are you convinced with the efficacy, or you need a more data, and how will it change your practice?
So, sir, efficacy-wise, yes, I am pretty convinced. We have used it now on several patients in a relapsed refractory setting, though not yet having changed our practice in the armed forces. But yes, the data is pretty convincing for upfront transplant eligible patients, in especially high risk, as Joseph sir said, and as Dr. Padmaja has also showed, most of the data is pretty convincing. So no, I think if money is not a constraint, yes, high risk and RISS 3 patients, DARA may be offered if economically feasible.
So you will be offering to the high risk group, or you will be offering to standard risk group also?
No, sir, essentially high risk group as upfront, not to standard risk.
You want to restrict the use of, if you see the stringent CR, the more significant difference is in the standard risk rather than high risk groups. If you see a MRD, definitely it is in the every risk group. Sir. But if you see the data, is more in the standard risk group rather than high risk group.
So, sir, again, if times going forward, the way DARA has stepped up from the relapsed refractory setting to newly diagnosed myeloma for high risk, conceptually and theoretically, and data suggesting that yes, it would definitely benefit in standard risk group as well. But again, economic reasons. Yes.
Okay, Sanjeev. Same questions. Sanjeev, you have to unmute yourself.
Sir, I am totally convinced with the efficacy data, and definitely with high risk multiple myeloma will definitely offer for DARA combination.
Do someone must want to wait for the phase 3 data of DARA VRD, or you want to continue with the same phase 2 is enough? Sanjeev.
To recommend this combination for standard risk, definitely I will wait for phase 3 data. But okay. High risk, definitely I will use.
Anup?
Sir, the pattern in which all these trials are done, if you see, the common pattern is always to select a doublet in one arm and add a triplet agent and make it on the other arm. So they are not comparing across the different kinds of different classes of drugs.
Say it again.
And definitely it has been proven. No, if you look at all these studies in relapsed refractory myelomas, you always combine RD with
No, we are talking about we have two trials at the moment in newly diagnosed transplant eligible myeloma. So we restrict ourselves to this.
So one arm is VTD, the other arm is DARA VTD. The other trial, one arm is VRD, the other arm is DARA VRD. So definitely they're taking one triplet in one arm and adding a third agent, which is a monoclonal antibody, which is very effective, and showing that adding that is going to show a major improvement.
So that's what you don't want to see that. I mean, if you do a trial, unless you have a trial, you don't want to see that the adding additional drug will help it or not.
No, so when we have good responses with whatever agents we are having, and if you look at the primary endpoint is after transplant, after consolidation. So we don't have data after induction. And in the Indian setup, I still feel that transplant is the one which is going to be the game changer. So if we have data after induction, if it is going to make a big difference, and then it shows that in a proportion of patients, we can actually avoid a transplant, because transplant is always, there is a
I'll
small
be
risk
coming
of
to that. So
complications.
whether we should go for
Yeah.
transplant or not, whether we can skip the transplant, will be coming to
So
that.
definitely need more data, especially after the data after what happens to the response after induction, before transplant and before consolidation.
Okay. So you will not be using for any group, am I right?
Not at this point of time.
Okay. Next slide, please. This is the data, just the cross trial comparison should not be there, but there's some data. So Caspia trial, the DARA VTD versus VTD, there's a significant difference. If you see a VGPR or better, or if you see but if you see, there is another trial, the RVD21 of IFM 2009. They showed a similar kind of a VGPR even without a DARA. And if you see the KRD, and there's a one VRD 28 days from Italian group. So there are a few groups which have shown in spite of not having a DARA, significant VGPR or better, or CR or better. So there's a cross trial comparison, but there is a data to show that if you do something differently, either making it a 4 weeks or using a KRD, may give you the same results as the DARA VRD. Next slide, please. What should be our induction regimen for NNDM after viewing these two trials? So are you going to change? I think we have discussed it. So we are going to do a high risk. 3 people are saying we'll change it. No one is ready to change it for a standard risk. Am I right? Does anyone want to add on in this? Anyone?
We can't speak, can we?
I have only 15 minutes, so you stay away.
Rahul, let him speak. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Rahul, come in. Rahul.
So the most important thing is whatever you do in a high risk, you're not going to prolong it for more than 2 to 3 years. I'm giving you a different point of view. If you can prolong the first remission, adding a 4th drug, and prolong it by substantial years, why not to add DARA VRD? I mean, the whole idea is in the standard risk, it is highly beneficial in a standard risk to add DARA rather than in a high risk, because whatever you do in a high risk, your survival is not increasing. So DARA is not making any difference in 17P, 414, anybody else. So if I see the data, I'm very happy that standard risk is getting prolonged survival, because India is the first chance. And if you stay till 8:55, where my last presentation is, I'll show you the philosophies of how you need to treat myeloma in a different subsets.
Okay.
Isn't that? So I think I have changed my strategy in a standard risk. DARA is the standard now.
Sure. Next slide, please. Any specific groups? So that also we have discussed. Next slide, please. Do we still need a transplant, especially in the post-induction MRD group? So either in all or someone who has become a negative after induction. So now we have, previously there was a trial with the VRD versus transplant alone. And then we said, no, you need a transplant and VRD along with. Now we have a 4th drug. So can we skip transplant? Not in all, but any specific group. Joseph, quickly.
Yeah, so that answer is not yet clear to me, honestly speaking, because I want to know whether I can reach the endpoint of MRD negativity without DARA or with DARA or with transplant. I mean, that's the question we are having to ask. I don't know the answer to that. I would want some more results to come in to answer this question.
Anup?
Definitely, we don't have the data yet. As I said, all this data is based on response after transplant and after 2 cycles of consolidation. So if a patient can afford all these, if we are taking these patients for daratumumab-based induction, quadruplet-based induction, and if we consistently prove that they are having sustained MRD negativity, in that subgroup of patients, we may, but that data is yet not available, sir. So as of now, transplant is still required.
Since Harshit, quickly.
So I agree with both the previous speakers that yes, as in the current scenario with the data available, transplant is still the way to go post-induction, and MRD negative status, we might be able to prolong that survival with the transplant. So these are patients who are going to do better. So adding a
Sanjeev?
transplant, I would
Sir,
consider.
definitely transplant will be standard of care in current data, even if
I
MRD negative.
So,
I think
Dr.
the
Dinesh,
transplant becomes more important. Rahul, yes.
the question should be framed in such a way that transplant is required. Will you do it early or will you do it late? Because that's a concept from an IFN trial which is coming up. When they say even if you relapse after 4 years, if you have cryopreserved stem cells, 72% people can actually go for a later transplant also. So the question is whether to do, not to do transplant, but the question is early versus late transplant.
Anyone wants to comment on this?
Again, do we have answers to that, Rahul? We know for sure that late transplant and early transplant does not matter. But the question is, MRD negativity, however you reach there, seems to be having a benefit. But how long can we avoid it without? This is the question. I mean, there are various analyses you can take it.
There is a trial from IFN which talks about early versus late transplant
Rahul,
using a sequential thing.
Rahul, let me take it.
Yeah.
Okay. So means I think a transplant becomes more important considering the cost involved and considering the impact it has. So probably if you can't afford a DARA versus transplant, probably I think the transplant becomes more important. If you can afford a 1 out of 2, probably. So I feel transplant becomes more relevant in this era rather than Rahul is not agreeing with me, but I don't have a time. I have only 2 more minutes to go. Next slide, please. I agree with. Are we using consolidation? So this is a new thing which I'm seeing in these 2 trials. The consolidation. Anyone is using all the panelists, including Rahul Bhargav. So Rahul is using the consolidation 2 cycles. Anyone else? Anup, Joseph, or Sanjeev,
No,
or
sir.
Harshit?
No, sir. No,
So do we have to change our practice? If you see the trials, when you say this, I'm using VRD or I'm using DARA VRD, but then if you follow the trial, you need to have a consolidation also. I think people don't say, but I think if you see a comparator arm also has a consolidation.
So I did use it in couple of my patients who were very high risk, especially one was a primary plasma cell leukemia. So in a very high risk situation, I did use consolidation for about 4 cycles post-transplant.
So do we change? We need to change the practice. Anup?
I think Padmaja has made it very clear in her presentation with the current NCCN guidance. Isn't that Padmaja that you said no consolidation?
But both the trials, which are upfront trials,
But sir, if you look at any trial in myeloma, the more we treat, the response deepens. More and more.
How do we change the practice? So shall we continue the 4 cycles transplant and maintenance, or we add a consolidation?
So maybe in a few subset of patients who are not achieving a favorable response even after transplant, somebody who is still in PR after transplant, we can consider it. That's all.
Thank you. Dinesh, can you
conclude? Sir, can I take 1 more second?
Yeah,
what's your take on? Can we have a
1 second is thank you.
No, sir. I have not given. What's your take on these 2 trials, Dr. Agrawal?
There's
before I finish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we have now about 5 minutes for QA session for this panel discussion. And we have 1 or 2 questions that have come up. One question is, at what time period in the treatment of myeloma will you do MRD detection?
Anyone wants to take
You
it?
and your team. Yeah.
Joseph, MRD expert.
No, I'm not an MRD. I would ask Dr. Dinesh only to answer that.
I think there are a lot of things to be answered. We don't know what time frame. So see a trial, they do it at every time point, post-induction, post-transplant, post-consolidation. But if you see a data is more of a post-consolidation data is there. So post-consolidation and post-maintenance is the important part, which becomes for us is a post-transplant.
So the simple answer is that if you are planning for a transplant, you can do at 2 time points. One is pre-transplant and one is post-transplant. If you are not collecting the data and you're not interested in writing a paper, then please do that. After 3 months after a transplant, you do a MRD. If you're not planning to do a bone marrow transplant, please start your maintenance as much as possible after doing an MRD. If the MRD status is negative, then you're on a very strong footing that you can delay the transplant for a couple of more months if the patient is not willing. Otherwise, you have to use a maintenance strategy knowing that the patient is going to soon relapse. after this. So transplant versus no transplant, you can divide yourself and then you can do it.
Thank you, Rahul. Essentially, MRD is not used in practice anywhere in the world at the moment. It is a research tool. You can do PET scan in India. You can do, if you are at a center where flow cytometry can be trusted, you can do it, but it does not change your line of treatment. You do transplant for all transplant eligible patients unless there is a reason not to transplant. Next question, and that's the last question you have, is how do you predict that your patient will be resistant to bortezomib and lenalidomide, if at all you can predict? Dinesh, you and your team.
Harshit, you want to take it? Harshit?
Sir, so, yes, sir. So prediction is only after a therapeutic trial and seeing the patient showing a response to either of the drug, whether if you are using a VRD regimen upfront, and if the patient is responding, that means patient is not refractory. But once then, either if the regime does not include one of the drugs and patient is not responding, only then you can focal onto one drug which may be unresponsive. Steroid is always a backbone, yes. So the refractoriness to a drug is assessed only after a response assessment, after a few cycles of treatment, maybe after 2 cycles or 4 cycles, however. Or in relapse refractory setting, again, if you've used one drug upfront and patient has relapsed in an early relapse, then you could consider status of refractoriness to that particular drug.
Thank you. Dinesh, your concluding remark of this.
So I think we have 2 trials, and probably everyone can, probably the high risk, you can use a daratumumab with the adding a 4th drug is definitely going to make some difference into the depth of the response. We don't know whether it changes the progression-free survival or overall survival. So we have to wait for the report. Some are more conservative, waiting for the long-term data. Some are proactive, like Rahul. So we'll be using in every patient. So with this, I conclude this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dinesh, and thanks to the panel. One thing I will agree with Rahul this time. I often don't agree with Rahul, but one thing I'll agree is today, and I will quote Dr. Sagar Lonial, today you are looking at cure for myeloma. And when you give the best possible treatment to a low-risk myeloma patient, you have got the highest chance of cure. So depriving a low-risk patient of DARA or transplant post-transplant consolidation or maintenance is converting a cure into a lifelong disease. So that's the statement which Dr. Lonial had made, and I cannot say anything more about using DARA in a low risk, which Rahul mentioned, and I appreciate that statement.